Hey everybody, today Tan's going to show us how to publish our books on Amazon. So, let's take a walk to the Geek Shop. Welcome to another episode of Geek Shop. Today we are talking about printing and publishing your own comics. So, I figure this isn't going to be the first episode about this subject, but we're just going to sort of touch on it a little bit, and we're going to look at some of Chetan. Say hello, Chetan.
Hello.
So Chetan is an expert at this, and I know he's just sort of getting into this, the newer forms of publishing. But Chetan has been doing this for years and years and years, and he has a lot of experience and a lot of super expertise on setting up comic books for publishing. So why don't we talk about the first thing is, when did you, we've talked about this in the past, but you've been publishing comics in some form or another since the early or the late 80s, right?
Early 90s.
Early 90s? Okay.
Early 90s. So, and mentioning that, please check out my video that was posted on, I was interviewed for producing comics in the 90s, old school mini comics and that format. So the link I'll put in here at the bottom, check that out. But yes, from the early 90s, self-publishing photocopied versions in the beginning.
Okay. So that it's obviously a different process, and you can even look at our last episode about zines, where we sort of talked about more of the process of old school making comics. But I figured this one we can focus a little bit on sort of the way that we make comics today, which we still do it the old way sometimes. I think both of us still do some self-printed stuff and giveaways. But as far as sort of within the digital, what's the process? What do you start with?
Well, digital depends. Okay, we won't talk about the artwork and anything like that. But let's say you have your artwork produced, scanned, and ready to go. Once you have all the files set up, depending on what program software you're using, InDesign, Clip Studio, or any other layout program, main thing to do is lay out your program according to what specifications of the final print size it is. Now, if you're self-publishing and you're using companies like, let's say, one of the companies I used was Mixam for printing for a long time. We'll have a link at the bottom for that. In that one, there's various different sizes you could do. You could do standard traditional North American comic size, manga, and I think they have UK sizes also. So decide on what size you want, then lay out your book in your design software. When you lay it out, make sure you have your bleed marks, everything like that.
So why don't we actually, I'm going to stop you right there, because this is something that I think a lot of people don't know. So there's this idea of, so basically to simplify it, your size is basically, you're not just dealing with the size of a page. I think a lot of people who are starting out with this think, I print on 8.5 by 11. Let's just use 8.5 by 11 as an example. So therefore, my picture has to be 8.5 by 11. But that's not really true if your pages are that big, because explain sort of what bleed is and what your safe zone is and everything like that, maybe a little bit.
Well, when you're doing a comic or any artwork, you need certain safe area where I'll go by traditional comic drawing. So when you're doing, let's say, your standard 11 by 17 drawing, there's the safe area inside borders. Generally, I don't have the full measurements, but then you keep your main text, important text, and word balloons, everything like that within that safe zone. Full bleeds are areas that chances are going to be cropped. Let's say you have a 11 by 17 page size, put in 0.25 extra space all the way around, so that way the page will bleed across the book. And when it's trimmed, some of it might get trimmed, some might not. So, but overall, you get the page bleeding the artwork bleeding, bleeding all across the page.
So basically, and for those, bleed is basically if you want stuff to go outside of the boxes. So I think the best way to describe it is sort of your boxes are within this safe zone. So that is sort of where all your text will go. That is where your main action will go. But
and I'm going to give you a sample of it.
Cool.
for example, these two or this page has no bleed on it. Now, if you look at artwork here, Tom Yo's artwork. Now, Tom Yo has done some amazing work, and these are full bleed pages.
Cool. Yeah, and we'll definitely and it's the thing you have to sort of know, and the animation actually deals with this, has a similar system in TV. Like there's a safe and there's a safe zone in animation as well. So this is the only reason I knew this exists, or how I learned about this when I was studying animation. But the idea basically being is that anything that you absolutely totally need has to be in the safe zone, but anything that you want to sort of add to the artwork to just give it a little bit more depth and a little bit more sort of feeling in the page to sort of go off to the edges, because I do that a lot in Blue Orchid. Like bleed to me is essential because I have characters popping out of the boxes all the time. So,
it works great. I mean, the pages look great, but just make sure no important artwork or especially word balloons or text is out of the safe area, because sometimes it could be cropped and it could be so close to the edge of the page it might not look good at the end, when you get the printed work. But again, but full bleed pages look amazing.
I guess the other thing too is when you're looking at the center spine of the book, potentially if you're not in the safe zone, then you could be sort of so tucked in that you can't read it.
And again, depending on where you're getting your book printed, some of the guidelines are very strict on where the margin, how much margin you have, especially the inside margin, like you said, where the spine is. You have to make sure you don't go too close to that.
Yeah, that's it's a real challenge, and I'll tell you, I am not a print person. When I do my books, like I'm not trained in print. Like all of my training was in television. So when it comes like movies and television and animation, so whenever I see the specs for something, I sweat a little bit and like panic and all that. And all the stuff I do now, I do on most of it. I just do on Amazon, or my two things are I've sort of got a system for Amazon, and other than that, I go to a printer and say, please help me, and get an expert to do it, because I'm not great at it. But the one thing that I do is, it sounds ridiculous, but my page is fairly small when I draw it, and I go crazy with the bleed. Like I go so far out in the bleed, and I would rather have I think I go almost 3 inches sometimes with my drawing. Like I will draw, if you see a character that's cut off on one of my pages, I have drawn that entire character, even if I've had to glue another piece of paper.
You're doing it that way. Some of us are more daring and go, how far can I take it before it gets cropped? So that's a challenging also. But that's one. It's I don't know if you want a trial and error situation where sometimes you're printed and you go, wow, that was very close. But sometimes But again, play it safe. That's the main thing. Now here's the key part. When I was doing my mini comics and using photocopiers had no bleeds, because when you print photocopy, you always get it's random depending on the which photocopy you use. You're always going to get a white border around the book, and when it's guaranteed. You can't print full bleed on photocopies, and that made it simple because you had to be in your safe area and make sure it doesn't get shift. And one problem with photocopies was, let's say even if you had the white border of non-bleed artwork, sometimes the photocopier might shift the artwork to the right or left slightly, and it does that. Trust me, it's through experience. I know this, so shift it. And the good thing nowadays is using print-on-demand printers, most of them are very accurate when you do your page layouts, and when you look at your proofs and stuff, they're very almost 99% accuracy, I would say, where you don't have to worry about that. Now on the other hand, then you have Amazon, which have their own guidelines,
and their own sizes.
That's it. Photocopying has different sizes and print limitations. Print on demand has limitations. Amazon has their own. So it's every step you take and every different outlet you have for printing your books, you have to look at their guidelines, and a lot of testing, a lot of trial and error and testing.
Yeah, I think Amazon might be the company, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the case, but they might be the company that actually make comic books 6x9. because that's the only
I
size
think
they
so.
do.
Yeah.
And they don't do like a standard comic book size. And I feel like they're gonna, and that a lot of manga is around 6 by 9 as well. Like
Slightly
it's
smaller and slightly. I think Amazon sizes in between the two manga sizes,
okay. And I
which
think
is
that's sort
good
of done on
because
purpose.
yeah, because when I did this book, this was printed on Amazon. It's going back. It's 5.5 by 8.5. So technically, it's going back to the old school days of mini comics, the size of an 8.5 by 11 sheet folded in half. And this
Yeah.
format's good. But the new books I'm printing is 6 by 9 because of the larger page count. There's not too much cropping going on and not too much white space all around. Now again, this is a video I'll explain later in detail on why I mentioned that, because Amazon has certain guidelines that you have to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, just to sort of let people know that are watching this, after we're finished talking for a few minutes here, Tan has got some videos that he's made sort of going through the processing. He's going to talk about that by himself because, again, he is a super expert on this thing. And if I explain my process, most graphic designers and book creators laugh like crazy because mine is such like a caveman just trying to bang rocks together to make a comic book. I have no experience in sort of the design aspect of book layout and everything like that. So, but Tan, I'm actually looking forward. I'm going to check. I have only seen the videos. I have not seen the voiceover of those, and I'm so looking forward to checking them out because I think I might try some new ideas for some upcoming books based on what you're going to tell us. So, I'm super keen on that. So, keep an eye out for that for the end. But the other thing to sort of talk about is I imagine for you particularly, you have a lot of problems with reprinting old material in Amazon size.
Yes, because every when I was doing the layouts for let's say pre-Amazon before Amazon Comixology, they have certain formats that you have to do, and I remember even checking out Apple's iTunes library where you could publish your books and stuff. They have their version of their layouts. Amazon has their layouts. So a lot of my old school layouts, which I did, like my old books from 10 years ago, I have PDF files and I have InDesign files. I have to reformat that to fit the Amazon guidelines. Now, it's a challenge. Now, anyone watching here, I will tell you this, you need a lot of patience in the beginning. Because with Amazon, we'll talk about Amazon. Amazon has their guidelines for bleeds and margin. Bleeds are okay, but for their margins, please follow their guidelines. That's the best advice I give you. Exact guidelines, because it'll save you a lot of headaches. Because my old school thinking when I went in to print the first book, I think it was Dead Souls, and I was pulling my hair out. And I contacted Chris so many times saying, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Because I have my old school layout, old school design think process where, lay this page out this way, put your bleeds in, make sure, all the artworks, centered, everything, did that, submitted the artwork to Amazon, got rejected by their AI, I don't know if it's AI, software that's doing that.
And apologies to anybody who works at Amazon if it is a real person.
Yes. And so it got rejected. Then went back, corrected whatever they recommended. And one thing I will say is Amazon's amazing for their recommendations and stuff. When they recommend it, they exactly tell you what's wrong. And so when I corrected that, it goes to a second process where a real human, again, we don't know if it's the other one was real human or not, but this one, a real person looks through it and will edit it again for a second time and tell you what's wrong.
Yep.
So then it's a two-part process, and it gets frustrating because when you have the old school thinking, what I used to do layout was I would do and I'll give you an example. What I would do is, let's say when I'm doing a page layout, I would do 6 by 9. Then I would put a 0.25 border for bleeds all around, and that's it.
Yeah.
Set up the file, convert it to PDF, send it to a printer, they print it. Perfect. Well, for Amazon, depending on how much page size you have, you might have to do, let's say, 0.25 bleed, but then your margins have to be 0.375. Then your inside margin, if it's 100 pages or more, could be 0.50. So that changes everything. And, the old school thinking's gone
Yeah.
in the page, laying out the pages. And that's what got something that I was watching so many videos on YouTube on how to lay out comics. Unfortunately, there's not that many comics or manga. Unfortunately, there's not that many videos out there. So I took over people that were doing photo books, coloring books, and things like that. And I went through their videos. And one lady in particular, she posted a video just saying, I'm posting my book online. Then it cut and came back, and she goes, 3 months later, I'm still trying to figure this out. And she went for the same process as I did. And now after printing my first book, Dead Souls, printing that, I don't mean to say it in a bad way, it was a hell trying to get that book, laid out, doing the layout and printing. My latest book, which I put out, it's a reprint of all our older stories, 600 pages. I got one error from Amazon on it, and the error was actually my fault, not theirs. And I learned from it. It was a long road, but you know what? Now I know what not to do.
Yeah, I just sent Blue Orchid issue 2 up for print. It's actually on there now. Which by the time this comes out, maybe I will have announced that it's up for sale, but maybe I won't. I'm waiting for my copies. I like to get my copies before I tell anybody that's up for sale because I get terrified that there's going to be something I'll see. But they came up with one change, and it was a text being obstructed by an image. And I kind of did it on purpose, but then when I saw it afterwards, I kind of went, you know what, that actually looks kind of bad because that's my website and a little bit of the text is obstructed, and so maybe they can't read it, and I want people to be able to read my website. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to, it was actually more of a, it wasn't a margins thing or anything like that, but it was kind of a creative thing, and they kind of did it, and I was like, yeah, from like a design standpoint, I should make sure my website is 100% visible. So it's funny. It's funny how the comments that I've gotten so far, ever since getting used to the format, have all been like, yes, you're totally right. I'll fix that.
Oh, I agree. I mean, at first, you have that cocky attitude. I know what I'm doing. I've done this for so many years. And I even contacted a couple of graphic designer friends of mine, and one in particular was Massimo, and said, "What am I doing wrong here?" And even he was baffled by, why are they rejecting this? And here's the thing: some pages they would reject, some they wouldn't. And once I followed their guidelines, to the teeth on everything, zero issues. It's trial and error. Now here's the thing: you could go for what do you call it, print on demand, small companies like Mixum or any other company, and get your books printed, sent to you, whatever. Reason now I'm going to give you my reason why I went with Amazon is Amazon publishes on print on demand, and the main thing is it could be shipped anywhere in the world. And let's say you're in Mumbai or Singapore or whatever, you could get your book printed, and if you have Amazon Prime, it's free shipping. Now, if I print on demand here and get it mailed to me, then I have to ship it to Chris in somewhere in Asia. It's going to cost me $30, $40 to ship that book.
Yeah, that's exactly why I do use Amazon as well. It's just their shipping is amazing and easy.
And I'll be honest with you, their printing quality is amazing. I like it. I mean, I'm not pushing Amazon on this, but you know what? I'm impressed by it.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so the videos you're going to watch is just me going step by step on what I do to publish a comic book, from starting on Amazon, starting from InDesign to Amazon, and basically how I set up the files, everything like that. It was it's a rough tutorial. If anyone has any questions or needs to know more, please contact me in my Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, and I'll give you information. I'll willing to help you. Get you. Give you my knowledge on what I learned.
Okay, so I am in InDesign and I'm going to be doing a layout for a trade paperback, a sample layout. You could use any program you like. You could use InDesign, anything. I'm using InDesign, so we are laying out a book for KDP Publishing on Amazon. So in InDesign, select New File. Then we are going to the page size, width 6 by 9. I go by 6 by 9 because that's the size I like. You choose your own settings, page sizes, or create your own. Amazon has a list of their specification settings and trade paper size, so you decide how you want to do it. Now let's pretend the book I'm creating here is 200 pages, but I'm just going to put 4 now because I don't want to populate 200 pages in this file. But let's pretend it's a 200 page book. So select how many pages you have. And now what I like to select here also is facing pages. I'll show you in a minute what that means. And now let's set our margins. Now for our margins, let's go to the KDP publishing specifications on margins. Okay, so here we are. So we are doing a 200 page book. So in the 200 pages for inside gutter margin is 0.5. Now you could choose for outside margin no bleed or bleed. I always go with bleed. So let's go with bleed, and that's going to be 0.375. So let's go back to InDesign. So now what we are going to do is we are going to change size. Now here's one thing you need to remember. If you go into InDesign, if you select one, everything will change. So deselect this here. Make all settings the same. No, we don't want all settings same. So what we do is top margin is going to be 375. Bottom is going to be 375. Outside margin is going to be 375. Now the inside gutter is going to be 0.5. Now let's go to bleeds, and bleed, same thing. Deselect this because we do not want all settings to be same. Now for bleeds, generally in rule of thumb is have a 0.25 bleed all around your page. Amazon has the same specification, so we are going to put 0.25. Oops. 0.25, bottom 0.25, outside 0.25. Now here's the key one. You keep this to 0, and I'll explain that in a minute why we keep that to 0. Okay, so now we have everything set up. So we have top, bottom, and outside margins at 0.375, inside margin at 0.5, and with the bleeds, all the top, bottom, and outside are 0.25. Inside is 0. So let's hit create. When you hit create, you get this page. So if you look, the inside margin for your book is 0.5. Outside margin is 0.375 with the 0.25 bleed. Same thing on the top and bottom. Now let's look at the double page spread. Okay, so this is the double page spread, and this is how your book's going to look. Okay, so let's lay out a page just in this section here, or an image. Okay, so I have put aside some images that we could use from my TikTok Tom books. So this is going to be a full bleed page. Artwork is by Tom Yo. Now Tom's artwork is sometimes I have to guess where the bleed marks are, because Tom will do digital and old school hand renderings also. So it's a oh sorry, let me bring that back here. Okay, so roughly we have this page set up. Now let's create another page, and we'll put another piece of artwork in here. And again, another Tom Yo page. Tom's a popular guy today. Now this one does not have a bleed, so, oh sorry, let me just, this is from our story that's coming up next year, called Maneater. Tom's finished his story. And this one does not have any bleeds on it. So we are going to roughly say this is it. Okay, so now you have your full bleed, no bleed. Now we are going to save the file. So if you're in InDesign, just go to export. And when you export, I'm just going to do it to the desktop and just put test. And select Adobe PDF Print. Okay, I did one earlier, so I was playing around with it. Okay, so in this section, go to bleeds and marks. Do not select any of this, but select your bleeds using document settings. Make sure that is selected. Any other specifications that you need to do, compression, all this, do it. Change it to the whatever specifications you want. I usually have it set up at this. This is, have a look at it. So make sure you only have in the marks and bleed section. Do not put marks, bleed marks and stuff. Amazon does not like that. Okay, then you hit export. And let's let it finish doing its job. Okay, it's done that. So now let's open the PDF file. Okay, so here's the PDF file. I just opened it in preview, but let's do it here. And this is how it looks. Okay, I know this is a quick, simple way of showing it, but if you have any questions, please message me and I will be happy to give you more details on exactly how I do this. So remember, make sure you have the inside margin more than what it should be, because when you're binding any book that's 100 pages to 400 page or 600 pages, Amazon's maximum page count is 600. The inside gutter space, because when you have the large amounts of page, you're losing the inside gutter space. So the more pages you have, the less inside margin gutter space you have. So you have to do it to that specification. And again, any questions, please message me. Okay, so here's how you publish a book on KDP Publishing on Amazon, so Kindle Direct Publishing. Here's the URL for the website, or just do a search for KDP Amazon and it'll take you to it in Google search. Okay, so this is the main page. Now this one, like it says here, create, manage, and publish your book. Now these are my books that I have published here on Amazon, digital and print. Now we'll go step by step on how I create a book. So best option is hit create, and I'll show you all the options you have available to publish your book. First will be a Kindle ebook, which will be a digital book that people can download on Kindle. Next would be a paperback, and there's various selections of sizes and what type of paper you want, color, black and white. Next is hardcover. I haven't tried hardcover yet, so cannot give you too much advice on that one. And there's the final one, series page. Now, from what I remember, series pages, if you have more than one volume in a book, you could release them individually, then collect them into a series. So once you have your book ready, select create paperback, or use the option. Let's say we'll go select create paperback. Now I'm going to go back and show you how I did my book. So we're going to look at TikTok Tom Between Planets. Okay, so first page you come to is paperback details. Now in this one, I'll give you a lot of options to fill in all your details about the book. The first one is language, depending on where you're at and what if you want French, English, any other language, you have lots of options. The next one is book title. So book title, put in your book title as you need it. If you need to put a subtitle, do that here. And series option, again, I haven't tried that, so it's that one. Do your research and see if it's worth it for you to do that. For me right now, it's not, so I haven't really researched that one. Edition numbers, again, if you want to have certain editions and stuff like that, you could add on to that. Main creator offer information, fill that in here. And contributors, how many? My book, unfortunately, has more than me on the book. So I listed many as I can. I think you could list up to 10, 15 creators, if I remember. And description of the book. Short plot synopsis of your book. When people look at it on Amazon, on the Amazon page, and when they do a search, it'll come up and have a description that's going to sell your book for you. And next tab is information is publishing rights. Again, read the information and put in what you need to what your requirements are. And primary audience, again, depending on adult content, non-adult content, make sure to fill this out properly. Primary marketplace, again, depending on which country you're in. I'm in Canada, so I usually choose Amazon.com, and I just keep it to that, but the book is published on Amazon.ca also. And categories. And there's a lot of categories. You could edit your categories. On mine, I put it as for the Between Planets, it's science fiction, zombie, and horror. And I could put manga, other type of things in there also. But that's what the book is. Okay, now again, keywords. You could put in there as you see it fit for related to your book. And Amazon fills this information out, publication dates and release dates. Okay, so I'm going to go back on top to the next tab, and it'll be paperback content. I'm not saving this because everything's already been taken care of and the book's already published. Okay, so next one, paperback content. Now, ISBN number. Amazon will. Now, one thing you have to remember with Amazon is when you do your cover, on the back cover, it's going to have an ISBN number. So make sure you have space at the bottom right-hand corner. Now, they will assign you a number if you want, or you could add your own. So use your option. But when you do in the other video, I'm going to mention how you lay out your cover. It will show you the designated area for the ISBN number. Okay, so for me, I just let Amazon generate that. Next one is print options. Now, print options, there's lots of different options. Black and white interior with cream paper. Black and white interior with white paper. Standard color interior with white paper. premium color interior off-white paper. Now, I use the standard color interior paper. It's kind of a feel of a newsprint, but a little bit better quality newsprint. I haven't, the premium quality, I just find it a little too glossy and slick. So, personal preference, what I would do is on that, Amazon will, once your books are approved, you can get a approved copy. So you could test those out and see if it's to your liking. Now, page size, unfortunately, because I have the book already set up, my setup on the page size is 6 by 9. Now, Amazon has at least 20 different sizes, or you could custom set it to whatever specifications to your size. Now, remember, in certain cases, Amazon will recommend certain sizes because if you let's say if it's being printed overseas, here, in Canada, US, or anywhere, there have certain standard sizes that are easier and convenient to print anywhere. So choose your own size, and you can do a standard comic book trade paper size. Just look at the page sizing. Next option we have is bleed settings. No bleed or bleed. Now, bleed wise and all that stuff, I'll get into that in another video. So select whichever option is suitable for your comic. Next option we have is paperback cover finish. Do you want matte or glossy? I like the matte look. Matte is, but again, personal preference. And the next step is manuscript. So upload your PDF file. So here, just upload your PDF file to their website, to Amazon, to the KDP publishing server. And the next one is book cover. Now, book cover, it has use two options. Use Cover Creator to make your own book cover. That's Amazon's pre-made templates and everything. What I usually do is just download their specifications for the cover with bleeds and trim marks and everything, and I create my own cover. So I'll have the front cover, spine, and back cover. Now, in the other video, please have a look, and I'll give you all the information on all the details on what you need to do for spine space, cover space, everything. Okay, and again, the barcode barcode. So select it if you need to. And this one, I'm not there yet, so I don't have any AI generated content. So I just put no there. And book preview, I'll go through that in a minute. And let's go through that. Now, this will give you a preview of your Amazon book. So if they're, I guess they're AI or bots or whatever, will go for the book and preview it and make sure everything's within their trim marks, bleed marks, and to their specifications. So this is how it looks. Now, if there's any errors, I'll show you with marks here in red, and I'll detail which pages on this side will detail on which pages have errors and what the corrections need to be. So Amazon is very good at that. They'll tell you in detail. For example, let's say this text here, if it's onto this side, it will tell you text needs to be moved in more, and or if any artwork's being trimmed way too outside or something, it will tell you, please correct this before we approve it. Okay, so this is the preview, and just go through your pages as you need to. Now, one thing I will tell you about Amazon printing is, this is the front cover, back cover. The inside covers are always blank. I did email them and talk to them about it. They said no, inside covers are always blank, and also the last 2-3 pages of the book will be blank pages. It's how the printers print it, and they always leave the blank pages. I told them it's not a novel or anything like that, but they said even graphic novels, comic will have the same requirements, so there's no way around it. So that's Amazon. So this is the print previewer. So just have a look through this and make sure everything's within the boundaries of your text. Now, certain pages like this here, when I looked at the final, it was centered. So, I don't know why it did this, but overall, the printing was very good. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this. Okay, so next is paperbacks, rights, and pricing. Oh, sorry, one more thing here I'm going to mention. Now, at the end of the page, it tells you what your printing costs are per book. Now, remember, this is what it cost Amazon to print the book, not how much it's going to cost you to get your offer copies and things like copies. It will be more than that. So just don't think this is what you're paying. This is what it cost Amazon to print the books. So because we specified Amazon.com per book, printing cost is $17.20. My book is 600 pages, so that's a lot of pages. Okay, so now we are at paperback rights and pricing. Now, territories, again, it says all territories, worldwide rights, or individual territories. Choose whatever is best for you. And primary marketplace. Again, I use Amazon.com because that would be my core audience. Even though I live in Canada, I could put it as Amazon.ca, but I want the larger audience, and the US is the larger audience, so I put it as Amazon.com. Now, here's one thing: standard color is not available in Amazon.co.jp and other areas. So look at that information also. I'll tell you, depends on your area and stuff and where you want to sell your books. Next one is pricing, royalties, and distribution. This is where Amazon sets up the book and the pricing and everything, and you could adjust the pricing if you need. You set it up to what pricing you want. Now, I put it for my 600 pages. I put it for $40 US. Printing cost is $17.20. Their rate is 60%, so royalty I make on that is $6.80 per book. Now, expansion distribution is have a look at that. It's distributions to it distributes your book everywhere, but the royalty percentage is way lower. So use it to your use it to your advantage. And I'm going to test this out here. So let's say if I want to put the book at $25, Amazon won't let me, because they'll tell me minimum amount I should be putting is, right here, the minimum list price is calculated based on your book's printing cost. It ensures your royalties are always enough to cover the cost to print your book. So Amazon will warn you if it's too low of a price. So let's go with $30 now. And when you go with $30, if you notice here, your royalty is only 80 cents. So you decide on how much, where you want to, what pricing do you want to put your book at. So go for the whole list here, and Amazon will, once you put in the US price or your main marketplace price, it will generate recommended pricing for you. So, but again, you could go in individually and change it. And so for me, I put it at $40 US. Sorry, let me change it back to 40. When you have it at 40, again, $6.80. And if I go down here, it will show me in Canada, I put it at $50 and royalty is $6.54. So again, play around with how you want to price it in each region, or just let Amazon generate that. Now again, we can't control what the exchange rates and all that stuff. It will add on that. Now remember, when people do buy it at $50 Canadian, they will be paying. The main thing with Amazon is if you have Amazon Prime, shipping is free. So that's the advantage here. And again, I don't know everywhere else, but in Canada, if you order $35 or more, it's free shipping. So there's advantages to that. Okay, so next one is terms and conditions. Just read out the information. And then here's the request of proof. Now I'm going to recommend one thing to you. do not request a proof right now. Okay, when you hit publish your paperback book, it'll take Amazon at least from 1 day to 72 hours to approve your book. When they approve your book, then do a request a proof. Because I made the mistake of requesting a proof after I did all of this, and they came back to me and said there's needs to be some corrections done on your pages. So what happens is the previous page where I showed you the preview copy, that's their AI or computers looking over the book and saying, okay, this is wrong, that's wrong. So when you publish your book, a real human being looks at it, and they'll look at it and say, okay, you know what, this needs to be corrected, that needs to be corrected. Once they approve it, your book will be published digitally or ready for print on their website. And once it's there, you will have an option when you go back to paperback details. Oh, sorry. It's the bookshelf. Sorry. So when you go to bookshelf, it'll ask you to order offer copies right here. So once you order offer copies, you could then in the option it will give you an option to order a request a proof copy. Once you get the proof copy, then you could approve it. I mean, it's already approved. So if you need to do changes, the good thing with Amazon is even any of my books are published here. Any of the books that are published here, I could come in and change content, change if there's a page shifted or colors are awkward or anything like that, I could go in and change it. Amazon is great for that. Okay, so next we're talking about KDP cover calculator. Just do a search for, I just did a search for KDP cover and a calculator option came up. When that comes up, you will see Kindle Direct Publishing website. Select that. Now, this is the print cover calculator and templates. Just read the information in detail when you get a chance. Now, you can download the cover template as a PDF or a PNG file. So, now here's what you need to do. So, you need to enter your book information. You have two options, hardcover or paperback. I haven't done paperback, so I'm the wrong person to ask on this one right now. But let's go with paperback. So first we select paperback. Next one is interior type. I usually go with standard colored. I mentioned this in a previous video, so please look at the other video. I mentioned what type of paper quality you want. And paper type also. Unfortunately, it's only white paper, so you don't have an option on that. So white. And reading direction, again, if you're doing manga comics, you might want to do right to left, but we'll go left to right. And measurements in units, again, use your specifications on whatever's fit for you. Let's go with inches for me. And interior trim size. Now, again, these are all the setup requirements Amazon has for their books. And again, you could do your own custom trim. I usually go with the 6x9. Once you do that, put in your page count. Let's do 100 pages for now. We'll add that in. And then select calculate dimensions. Once you calculate dimensions, you'll come to this page. This is your template for the cover. So you have your front cover, back cover, spine. And it gives you all the details on how you need to set up your cover in your design program, whichever one you're using. I mean, you could do it in Photoshop, InDesign, Procreate, any of those programs. So make sure you do it to the specifications. Now, again, if you have a book that's certain pages, I would say maybe 50 pages or more, think about the spine, because you could add artwork, text there, but make sure it's within the borders because you don't want anything to trim or cut off. And the key main important is the ISBN number, the barcode area. Amazon has certain areas specified for it. So now, when you do generate it through the KDP publishing, it automatically put it in here, and it's good. There's not, I mean, it does take up a considerable space, but it does a good job of placing it, and there's not, any, significant white border space around it. So make sure you follow that. Now, if you need to change any setups, just do calculate dimensions again, and you could download the templates. What I do generally is I will download the template, and I'll bring it into my design program, and then start laying out the cover so I know exactly what I'm doing. So again, follow their guidelines. Amazon is very good on that. So that's the cover calculator. Check that out, and I will have a link to it at the bottom of this video.
Anyone have any further questions or anything like that, please message us directly or comment below, and we'll give you any advice we can. Chris, any word?
I think we definitely understand that it's complicated, because, I mean, I'll be honest, your knowledge that you gave me, that was like an amazing knowledge dump of information, and it was a lot to take in. But definitely, I think the key to understanding is, particularly when you're watching that video and submitting, take your time, breathe, and also know that they might send you back comments that are a little bit confusing, but just sort of take your time, read the fine print, and it's a complicated thing for people who maybe don't have the knowledge, but it's a really, if you really follow the rules and like Chan laid out in his instructions, it'll make your work look great and lessen the amount. So it doesn't matter what size you're doing. As you know, we've got examples. I've got a square book, and I've got, rectangle books, and how many pages you're doing. It's just important to know that, like, it can be a challenge, but it's well worth the effort, and breathe, slow down. That's the only advice I'm going to give, because all the real good technical advice Chan's already given us.
And
I'm just going to give you the advice of be calm.
Best advice I'll give you, and this is coming from a cocky attitude of, I know what I'm doing. If you're publishing with Amazon, follow their guidelines. That's the best advice I'll give you. It'll save you days and days of getting frustrated. And I've learned that.
Yeah, I have too. And then the other thing too is it gets easier the second time you do it.
Oh, my this last book I did, 600 pages. When I submitted the PDF file for approval, their AI came up with 0 errors. Then when I submitted once it goes through the AI or bot or whatever that approves it, it goes to a real human who approves it. And when they approved it, no, they didn't approve it. They had 1 error, and honestly, that error was on my part, not their part. Like, not in the book. It was so, again, 600-page book, 1 error. That's great.
Yeah, I had the same situation. Blue Orchid issue 1, I think I spent 2 months getting errors and going back and forth. Blue Orchid issue 2, which I don't have a copy of it yet because I'm still waiting for them in the mail, but 1 error. And I looked at the error and went, that is totally a legitimate error. That is totally my fault, and I fixed it.
And that's it. And again, follow Amazon's guidelines. Amazon, one thing I will say is they have pages and pages of information on their website under KD Publishing, and just read, and they do have videos. Now, most of the videos are formatted for trade paperbacks like novels and things like that, or picture books and coloring books, but they work for comics also. Now, one thing I will say is, depending on what size comics you want to print, test out the size formats also. I started out doing first 5.5 by 8.5, then we jumped to 6 by 9, because the reason I jumped to that is when I did the larger page format books, the layout shifts because of the inside margin, and you have more gutter space. When I went by 6 by 9, it was less gutter space. So again, test out their page sizes and see which works best for you.
Definitely, and whatever works best for your art and your story is the most important thing to choose. So But and if you guys have more questions too, as Chatan has said, drop them in the comments, and we might do a second video like this, just answering your questions. As far as we know, I mean, we don't have all the answers to Amazon doing comic books, but as far as I think running a 6x9 format at this point, both of us have a lot of experience. We can probably answer quite a few of your questions.
Yeah, anytime, just ask.
Definitely. So, well, thanks for watching this episode. And any last words, Chatan?
No, thank you, and keep publishing comics, creating comics.